everyone, and welcome back to She Plays the Podcast. Today, I'm joined by Amber McKenzie, a two-time Women's Lacrosse World Cup winner, former Tar Heel and WPLL, and now Athletes Unlimited professional lacrosse player, also a mom of two boys. Thanks so much, Amber, for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Ashley. Excited to be here.
So I'm a North Carolina girl. I've spent a year at Chapel Hill. What was it like to be a Tar Heel?
Oh my gosh, I literally can't speak enough about it. I loved my 4 years there. I wish I was still going there now. It was the best. Chapel Hill was just a perfect fit for me. I loved everything about the school and the university and obviously the lacrosse program. So I literally couldn't imagine myself have gone anywhere else.
That's amazing. And I know that lacrosse especially for women's lacrosse is huge in Maryland. I feel like it started to trickle down. But could you speak just really briefly about the history of Chapel Hill lacrosse or college lacrosse? It's starting to really blossom and become very popular, I know.
It is. Lacrosse is definitely growing, and Athletes Unlimited, a part of our mission is to really continue to grow the game in all different parts of the country. I actually was born and raised in Maryland, in Westminster, Maryland. That's where I'm from. And chose Chapel Hill just because I felt like it was the perfect fit for me. But lacrosse wasn't that big there then in the area, but I know obviously it's grown tremendously with Duke and North Carolina being such a big niche in the Triangle area. The lacrosse programs, especially the club scene, has really taken off. And even now you're seeing college teams pop up everywhere. So, Florida has a big presence. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt's had a program for a long time. But even the Nashville lacrosse scene is growing because, lacrosse players are moving a lot of places, and now we're starting to bring our sport elsewhere. So, the West Coast has grown tremendously. So it's fun to watch, and it's fun to see the sport that I love and has given me so much start to, move across the country.
I love it. And we're definitely going to talk about Athletes Unlimited because one, I just can't say enough about that whole league and the organization, I guess, and then all of the leagues that they're popping up. But I do just real quick want to chat about lacrosse. Like you just said, the game you love. Yeah. I love hearing what athletes love about their sport. What's the thing that you are nuts about your sport about?
Oh gosh, I don't honestly, it's lacrosse. There's something about it that's special to me, and I love it. I'm very competitive just in life. And so our sons are spitting images of my husband and I. My husband was a college athlete. He's in the college coaching profession himself. And so we move a lot for his job. And so but our household is constantly competing. Literally, we can't even walk to the door without competing, who touches it first. It gets a little bit ridiculous, honestly. But I feel like the competition is what I love most about sports in general. And obviously lacrosse is one that I excelled at. And I was a high school soccer player. I was a high school cheerleader. And I played lacrosse. And so it's just the one that I felt most passionate about and wanted to continue to pursue through college. But yeah, the competitiveness, the team aspect, and obviously we'll talk about Athletes Unlimited, but that is a whole new concept of team, and which is so exciting and just very unique and innovative. And so we can speak to that obviously in a little bit, but just having the team camaraderie, and then all the athletes I've played with at Carolina and then into the US program, into Athletes Unlimited, a lot of crossover, obviously, just from the US program to the Athletes Unlimited program. But yeah, the teammates, the people, everything about it is what makes it so exciting. And, those are the memories that you have, not necessarily the wins and losses at the end of the day.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And there is just something about team sports. There's just something so magic about them. So yeah, you touched briefly about US team. As I mentioned in your intro, you're a two-time Women's Lacrosse World Cup winner. When did you start getting in the pipeline for US team? And then what's that like? Sadly, I don't know that it's, I've never seen it on TV, so I know it's kind of a niche thing that we're wanting to grow. Can you talk just a little bit about that experience?
Yes, absolutely. So I started playing with US program in 2007. I think it was my first year on the team. So I think right after my sophomore year of college, I tried out and made the developmental team. So at the time there was two teams, the elite team that was competing and then the developmental team. And World Cup runs every 4 years. So the next World Cup was going to be the summer after I graduated from college. And so, I played in the development system for a year, and then was able to move into the elite system that summer for our first tour And it was in the Czech Republic. And so, yeah, it was so cool. So that was the first tour, and then ended up making the World Cup team in 2009. And so it was like perfect. I finished, we played for a national championship. We lost terribly my senior year, but it was just the coolest experience. And then went right into the World Cup and ended up winning that one, which is amazing. And that team was so special because not one person had been in the US system previously. So, excuse me, they'd been in the US system, but not one had played for a World Cup before. So we were all brand newbies at the World Cup, which was just amazing. So that experience was amazing. And then the second one was in Canada. And while it was equally amazing, we just won all the games single-handedly. And so while it was so fun, like, that's why we all feel very passionately about continuing to grow the sport, because the dominance, that World Cup was just, there was such an extreme difference in the level of play. And while it's always amazing to wear the USA across your shirt and win, there's something to be said about that. One of my teammates, Holly Riley, who I think you guys did an article on, she is now one of the coaches for the Argentina national team. And her big thing is, I want to see there be more competition. Obviously, as Americans, we always want our team to win, but to see there be more competition at those World Games. And so the hope is that we change the game's changing a little bit. Obviously, Athletes Unlimited, we've changed the game comparatively to the college game to make it a bit more viewer friendly. And then the hope is that maybe for the Olympics, it will be a little like tailored even a little bit differently to maybe a smaller field with a limited amount of players, but hopefully, gain traction towards that Olympics. We're hoping to potentially be one of the teams that bids in 2028 in LA. So that's the hope.
Love it. Oh my gosh, that'd be huge.
And
you're right. I mean, we've seen that in soccer, right? We've seen the US dominate. And while we love that, it's really, really exciting to see other programs stepping up and like their countries investing in their programs and to see them succeed. Sorry. But yeah, no, that's awesome. And like you said, new rules, new way of playing for Athletes Unlimited. So yeah, let's chat about that, because this is one of the coolest ideas that I've seen come to play. We'll talk about the draft too, but yeah, what are some of those changes from college game to Athletes Unlimited?
Yes. So the biggest change is, although now they're following suit, we have been running quarters. So we ran 4 8-minute quarters. Actually, the college game just changed over that as well. So they'll run quarters starting this spring. And we made the shot clock lower. So it's 60 seconds from end line to end line. Change of possession obviously changes the shot clock. And then I can't remember if college is exactly this, but we did do, if you don't hit anywhere near the goal, it doesn't start over. So the only way you're going to get the ball back is if you hit the pipe or it like deflects off the goalie, which I think might be the same in college. I'm not actually quite sure. The rules are constantly changing because we're constantly evolving the game to be, again, a little bit more viewer friendly, but also watching lacrosse, it's so fast paced. So you have to be able to like constantly move. It's like running just as much as soccer, but like with the stick in your hand, I mean, like a little bit different. And so, yeah, so that was a big change. With Athletes Unlimited, we actually shortened the field a little bit. And so we made it 90 yards goal to goal. So which actually made it a lot more like high scoring, which was kind of exciting. So that was another change we made. If you watch the summer, the rules as far as like the amount of contact you can have was much different. Again, like depending on how you like it, I'm a defender. I love that. Like, I love that there's a lot of like, a little bit more pushing, a little bit more you get away with. The attackers might not agree with me because they were the ones taking most of the brunts and the pushes. But that was super exciting because again, it made the game really viewer friendly because there wasn't as many whistles, there wasn't many stops. Like we took away shooting space. So you literally, now, while you obviously don't want to sit in there, the attackers did a great job of not just shooting in our faces if we were hanging in shooting space. So that was cool just because I know there was more emphasis, I guess, on the attackers to not shoot the ball into someone's face. And we're penalized if they were to do so. But yeah, Athletes Unlimited, I can't speak enough about. Just like, I mean, I know you get excited about it. I get so excited when I talk about it because it is so innovative. Besides the fact that like, obviously we changed the rules of lacrosse, everything that it really is designed by the players. So like every time, I'm a member of the player executive committee. So every time we had an idea or something to say, John and Jonathan really did listen. It wasn't like them hearing us, but them not implementing. It was like, okay, we hear you. how can we change this? And even after the first scrimmages, we had 10-minute quarters, and we only had, I guess, so 2 of the subs are goalies and only 14 people per team. So by game 3, we're like, there's no way people can sustain this. The middies are running 7-8 miles a game. So we're like, we need to, and we literally, as soon as we said it, they're like, okay, what are our options? And so we ended up, before the first weekend, shortening the games to 8 minutes. And so, everything we say is just like, okay, like, how can we do that? How can we make this work for both parties? And like, and then the draft, like, I mean, I know you're going to go into it. I'm sorry. I'm getting so excited.
Oh no, let's talk about it. Yeah, you do it.
The draft is so cool because you just like, one, you never know where you're going to go. So unless you're in the top 4, it's a little bit anxious. You're like, oh, when am I going to get drafted? But, the ability to, one, play with a different, like, get drafted, go to practice, play with that team. You have 3 days to compete. So obviously your personal stats equal money and like bonuses, but your team is what matters most, because those points, like those stats equal, $80 per quarter and $180 per win, whatever. So those really matter. Like that matters more than your actual stat points. And then after you just crush each other on the field for 3 days, the next day you could get picked up by someone completely different and play with a whole new set of girls. So, while it's interesting and innovative, it's also like, instead of being if you had all those women there for 50, the 5 weeks competing on the same teams, by the end, nobody would be speaking. But because of the format, and you have like these 3 days and you don't like each other for 3 days, by Monday, everyone's close again, because it's like, okay, we're in this as a 56 unit together, because now I'm going to go compete against you. And then tomorrow I might compete with you. So it's so cool.
It is. It really is. And I love that it's kind of like even back to the back, playground, schoolyard playground, where it's like you have your 4 captains, because there are 4 teams each week. And then you have captains and they're picking, and it's all on Facebook, and it's amazing. It really is just a really cool way of looking at, what does it mean to be competitive, and like turn that on when it's game time, but then, like be friends and like hang out and, have that, like you said, the camaraderie for the whole league, which is pretty cool and very unique.
And also, it's also very humbling. Like, as a competitor, everyone there is the best in the country, right? Like, we have the US players, we have like all the best, like right out of college players. So we have all these amazing players. And as a former like US player myself, and like someone who dominated the scene as a defender for a certain amount of years, I actually read Abby Wambach's book, The Wolfpack.
Yeah.
Put me in the perfect mindset, because again, I was used to being a competitor. I've had kids. I had to take time away. I had like stepped away from the game for a while. And then obviously as the WPLL came back into fruition, like I went back and played again. And then obviously with COVID, we didn't have a season. And then this opportunity came available. And of course I was going to take it. I'm like, oh my God, why would I not want to compete again? If someone's giving me the opportunity to do this, I have to take it. But I had to change my mindset, because while I was at one point, like I would have been drafted super high as a defender, I now knew my new role had shifted into being that second or third pick on every team as a defensive spot. And so just learning like, okay, whatever my role is on that team for that weekend is my role. And I think that that's the thing that like we often forget as like competitors and athletes that have like always sat at the top potentially, like my role changed. So now what is the best way I can fulfill my teammates? Mm-hmm. And so some people start in that role, and like, my brother, I love him to death, but he played high school football for 4 years and like barely saw the field. And I respect the hell out of him, because he was in a position that he loved the game so much that he continued to compete. And I think that like that gets lost so much in today's day and age because of social media and like everyone thinking that they always have to be the best, but there's such a need for the people that are willing to be great teammates and show up every day to push the starters, to push the people that are the ones that are shining. And so little shout out to my brother. I respect the hell of him, because I don't know if I would have been able to do the same.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, it's, especially as you're trying to build the sport around the country and around the world, it does take people who've, kind of veterans, as you'd say, who've been around, who have put so much into this, to growing the sport. And now it is a cool role to get to see if there are people that are up and coming and like the powerhouses, if you will, but they have a lot to learn still, right? Like they have a lot to learn in the world. So that's so neat. It's such a cool opportunity, I think, for both sides of the career spectrum, those who are just starting and those who are still wanting to compete. So it's awesome. And you talked about, because it is a 5-week schedule or season, and like all the different roles that women play. You know, you're a mom of 2 boys. What was that like? Was it just the right amount of time? Was it like hard to prepare because you're all coming in just at this one time? Just tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I had a lot of life changes at the time. My husband took a job in Nashville, Tennessee, which is where we had actually met. So we were like, okay, let's go back. You know, he had got a great opportunity. We took it. And so we're back in Nashville, we moved, you know, obviously the market's crazy right now, but we moved in March, had to live in an Airbnb for a month, didn't get into our house. And so I didn't have I'm used to having like my workout stuff. And in Louisville, Kentucky, I had my oldest son was in preschool and my other son was in Parents Day Out program. And so I was still working with the club team I was working with, but it was like, I had time to train. And when I moved here, I was like, okay, wait, we have to figure this all out, because I couldn't get my older son in preschool. So I just stayed at home with both of them. Again, still just doing my part-time job and like trying to make it all work. So we got on the schedule every day of my like training regimen. I was like, this is mommy's time. This is mommy's work right now. And we are going to all behave for this 45 minutes to an hour. And then like, we will figure out the rest of the day, but this is mommy's time. So we had the schedule set up for kind of like to fit my workouts in. And then just like moving forward, you know, Athletes Unlimited has an amazing policy for women. They actually paid my mom weekly to watch my boys. So she would have done it for free, but she was my nanny for the 5 weeks. And so fortunately, I'm from Maryland. So my mom lived about 55 minutes from the location in Gaithersburg. And so they actually came between the hotel and then her house. And so just so that, you know, at her house, it was a little bit more to do. Obviously they had the backyard, they could play with their cousins and everything else. And then, you know, they came to the hotel a lot and were on site a lot. And so, you know, again, Athletes Unlimited made that possible, because without that, I really don't know if I can make it all work. There's just, as women, we feel so many different roles. And so I feel like sometimes I'm being pulled in a million different directions. And my grandmother would be the first to tell you that maybe I'm not making the best decisions for my family, but that's because she's old. The rest of us all feel like, you know, this is amazing. Like anybody would say, like, your kids get to see you doing something you love. They see something you're passionate about. You know, they watch daddy go to work every single day and do something that he loves, but now they get to see it from your perspective. And to be around those women, like my kids are around college athlete males all the time, you know, like, wow, that's amazing. And they have all these amazing role models. Like for them to be around so many badass women was so awesome. Cause I'm like, look at all these amazing women. And, you know, we're all in different parts of our lives. Like I'm married with children, and some of them are just, like you said, just getting started in the professional realm of lacrosse and their professional lives out of college. And like, just to see the different spectrum, I'm like, oh my God. And they all embraced my family. Like I was so grateful for them, because they embraced my family like they were their own. And like, you know, the boys were running around crazy with the footballs and like tackling them. And, you know, it was this whole thing. And I just like couldn't be more grateful. But again, it's a testament to Athletes Unlimited and what they're like building, that, you know, there is a spot for and a place for women in sports who have families. And, you know, Alex Morgan is like a true testament of that. She just crushed it. She's amazing. Allison Felix, like crushing the Olympics, you know? And so those women, like watching them and their journeys this summer was so inspiring as well. Like, okay, I'm making the right decision for me and my family right now, and that they get to see something that I love and have always done, which they didn't even know was a part of my life before I had them. So,
right. Yeah, no, I love it. It's firing me up right now. Cause it's like, I don't care, young kids in general, like no matter, you know, what gender, to see powerful women is so inspiring. So I love it. It's so cool.
yes.
So what's next for you? What are you excited about, and you know, thinking next season, or what's kind of on your radar?
Yes. So next season's up in the air, you know, just for a lot of different reasons. Obviously the family aspect is harder, just the older they get, you know. School here in Nashville starts super early. So my mom actually had to fly back to Nashville with the kids for my son to start kindergarten on like August 7th or something, or 8th. So it's early here, which makes it a little bit more challenging. And then, you know, right now I just transitioned into a new role. I'm a co-director of a club lacrosse team out of Connecticut called Sound Lacrosse. And so I'm just starting with them, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
My best friend actually owns the club and she's crushed it. She's a total like mom boss, like crushing it up there. And so she's bringing me on board, which is really exciting. I'm going to work remote and then travel to the different tournaments and clinics and stuff throughout the year. And then right now we're also just, my husband, like I had mentioned, he's a college football coach. And so we are here at Vanderbilt trying to build the program back in the right direction. So, every Saturday we spend it at a football game. But he loves it. And again, it's awesome for my kids to see their dad like so passionate about something and like something that he cares so much about. So yeah, that's all we have going on.
Love it. Sweet. Well, are you down for some rapid fire questions?
Yes, I love it.
Okay, sweet. Well, we'll start, just kind of ease you in, but favorite Gatorade flavor?
Oh, fruit punch.
Favorite warm-up song?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. It constantly changes, but at North Carolina, it was PD Pablo Raise Up.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Awesome. What's your favorite place that you've gotten to play?
I would probably say the Czech Republic. That in Prague, that World Cup was probably like the most memorable one of my life.
That's awesome. Yeah. Favorite sports memory you have where you were playing the sport?
Yeah, it's that World Cup. We won by 1 in the gold medal game against Australia. It was so cool.
Epic. Favorite sports memory you have gotten to watch?
Gosh, I'm a big Michael Jordan fan. If he sees this, I love you.
If he sees this, hi, Michael.
Hi, I'm Amber. No, but I love Michael Jordan playing. We got to watch the UNC men's basketball team won my senior year in 2009. And that was so cool to watch that. And then obviously Franklin Street was insane. Like that whole, which is also part of like the Chapel Hill experience. Like it just gives you something.
Yeah. The trash cans on fire.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah. That's amazing. What do you think? So this is not really rapid fire, I guess, but you're talking about, it's so cool and important that your kids just have sports in their lives, right? What do you think is something that sports taught you?
Gosh, I was actually just having this conversation with someone the other day. So resilience, the ability to work with others, it also teaches you some like hard life lessons. There's times where I haven't made teams and I haven't been the best. And, in those moments, you learn what you're made of, right? Like you're either going to fight for it or you're going to be like, okay, I don't care enough that didn't work out for me. And in those moments, you're like, okay, this is what's defined what's best for me. But yeah, just like, I really think that those are two important things. And like, just the way to like harness your competitive spirit. That is what we're teaching our 5-year-old right now. Like when you lose, you don't cry.
Yeah.
It's not always about like, you gotta like lose gracefully, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, that's big though. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question. It's my favorite one I asked. If you could get free tickets for life to any sporting event, anytime it happens. So it could be every year, the Super Bowl, or every 4 years, the Olympics. What are you getting free tickets to?
I feel like the Olympics.
Yeah.
I love 2 events. I love the runners. Like I'm a huge Allison Felix fan. Like she's just such a badass. And I mean, like, again, we all like all the moms, I feel like harness all our mom power. We're like, oh my God, yes, you're a mom. You're amazing. Like Serena Williams, she's amazing.
Yeah.
But then I also love the gymnasts. Like I can't get enough of the gymnasts. Like they're like all of it. I can't get enough of them. They're so good.
Amazing. Yeah. So Summer Olympics, you're going.
Yeah,
awesome.
Olympics, I am there.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you again for taking the time to be on. Can you tell folks where they can find you online and connect and all that?
Yes, absolutely. My Instagram handle is Amber F. McKenzie. And that's where you can find me. I don't really do too much social media. If you do follow me, it's a lot about my boys and our life.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we'll put that link in the show notes and we'll connect Athletes Unlimited in there as well.
Yes.
And just, thanks again so much for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.